Hey guys, Maury here. Just want to continue our series of videos on questions I get asked. I've talked about tracking your car, I've talked about trailers, I've talked about tow vehicles, and kind of getting into the next stage of, if you're really into it, is spending time at the track in an RV. And after years of going to the track and spending the night in these crappy motels, whether it was at Buttonwillow or Willow Springs or even Laguna Seca, which is hard to believe, but most of the hotels you just, I don't think you'd stay at if you had to, but you do, because there's nowhere else at the track unless you have an RV. So way back maybe 10 years ago or so, I decided I was gonna get an RV and stay at the track. And things to consider, first and foremost, is probably length of an RV. By the time you have your trailer on, you're looking at 45, 50 feet that you're towing. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Storing it, where do you store it? So that's another thing to kind of keep in the back of your mind. And then lastly is towing with it. And most of the gas RVs are with the Ford V10s, and you're looking at, mid 400 horsepower and low 400 torque. So the chassis, depending on which brand, the tow hitches are usually about 5,000 pounds. Some of them go up to 75 or 8,000 pounds. So again, open trailer, not an issue, but once you get into a closed trailer, it's something to think about. And then the next generation is moving up to a diesel chassis, which is what I did. I started off with a 32-foot, it's actually a 8.1 liter Chevy motor, towed great, but it was long, 32 plus another 24. I was almost 60 feet. Then I decided to downsize, so I went to a 24-foot trailer, or a 24-foot van style RV with my 24-foot trailer. A little bit easier to drive, but small at the track. So that's another option. Then I went to a Freightliner chassis, which is a diesel. It's basically like a mini 18-wheeler that you see out on the highway. And, towed great, rode great. That's something to look at, but again, the price doubles and sometimes even triples from the standpoint of a gas chassis. So if you have unlimited funds and you want to jump in, Freightliner has some really good options. DynaQuest is one that has some really cool trailers that will tow, again, easily up to 10, 15,000 pounds, depending on which engine they have in the chassis. And they're built in somewhat a small, like between 30 to 36 feet. So they're not huge. But again, you got to pay attention when you're always when you're towing. And with an RV towing, that's like another step in the transition of what you're doing. So long story short, it's unbelievable to stay at the track. It's one of my favorite things to do, kind of mini vacation. I'll go out on a Thursday, do a test day on Friday, spend the weekend and race, and I'm there. I got satellite, I got air conditioning, I've got my refrigerator, my stove. It's really fun, and it's a great way to enjoy the hobby. But you got to look at storing it, you got to look at towing, you got to look at maintenance. All these things add up to a little bit of work, but that's my advice in terms of what to do. Try and spend the most you can to get the best you can for a budget, and you'll enjoy it. Talk to you soon.